The Kamino build series is back in full swing. Jay has resumed live streaming, and no tragic incidents have happened yet. Let's check to see what this week has in store.
Hello boyos, Rich Boy Jay here back with another video, and this is yet another episode of building Kamino in LEGO. We had a bit of a shorter week this week just because the last update came out on a Tuesday, and this update is coming out on a Sunday, so I think we got a pretty good amount of progress done, but not maybe as much as I would have liked to have gotten done. But honestly, I'm just happy that these updates are coming out regularly at this point, so I'm just glad to be getting back on some sort of a regular build schedule. I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with what we got done this week. But before we get into the build, I do have to give a special shout out to the people who not only came through to the live stream this week, but were willing to go above and beyond and donate to the live stream, donate to the project. So I have to give a very special thanks to Brick Pigeon, Quick, Xavier Sorens, Quote of Christensen, Simply Logan, 327 Briggs, Garrett Tapal, Gabriel Cabral, Peter J. Bain, and Builds by Matt. You guys are so awesome. I sincerely appreciate it. And just for anyone who is, wanting to help out anyway with this MOG, I just want to let you guys know that these donos go a super long way into making everything you see here on this channel possible. These large scale builds definitely don't come easy, so if you are willing to contribute via donation, just know that it is very much appreciated. I do also want to give a secondary shout out to Garrett Tapal, Gabriel Cabral, Peter J. Bing, and Builds by Matt for donating enough to hit the Boyo Lounge. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, because I imagine we do have a lot of new viewers now, the Boyo Lounge is essentially a fan appreciation room that is going to be incorporated into Kamino. I'm not going to show any updates on it basically until the complete mock is finished. So it'll basically be a mystery as to where it even is in the mock pretty much up until the very end. I'm hoping I can do a decent job at hiding it up until that point. But it's basically going to be a build with sig figs in it, who are the people that were willing to donate and hit above a certain threshold. And it's going to include, obviously, myself, my close friends, and then those people who were a big part of the mock series. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, please come to the live streams and you can hit that donation tier and you will be included in the Boyo Lounge. If you want to check out previous ones I've done before, I'll link them down in the description below. The last Boyo Lounge I did was a Chuck E. Cheese, and it was a super fun build. I had so much fun. Not only just putting it together, but also just kind of incorporating all the scenes and reminiscing on all the fun times that we had on the streams leading up to the completion of Starkiller. So that's going to finish that up. Also, I guess I should say the next stream for Kamino is going to be this upcoming Thursday. So Thursday, probably 2 or 3 p.m. US Central Time is going to be the next Kamino stream. And the day after that, Friday, that's going to be September 1st, we're actually going to be building the new LEGO Star Wars sets live on stream. So they drop that day, and I think I'm going to try to build the new gunship and the new Ghost live on stream. So we're going back to 2 streams a week, and this time we're doing like back-to-back streams. So we're going to get Kamino on Thursday, and we're going to be building the new LEGO Star Wars sets on Friday. So I hope to see all of you there at both of those streams. But I've done enough talking. Let's dive right into the build, guys. Start off this episode, we are going to be installing some of these floor sections. Shout out to everyone who came through on the live stream. I got basically all these that I needed built for the remainder of the second level of this build. Last week, I really felt like I was super happy with the progress and just the overall aesthetic of having that bottom level done. And I figured, why not go ahead and complete the top level this week? So got all these floor sections built up on the live stream, and then I went ahead and had to basically build up a big frame for it to sit on. I had basically like a half frame to start with. So I just needed to build up the second half of the frame to finish off the structure for that second level, and then I could go ahead and install the floor sections. Trying to install this frame while the walls below it were already up was kind of annoying to do, not gonna lie. I initially had the bright idea of trying to connect the entire frame to all these support columns all at once, but quickly realized that that just wasn't gonna happen. So I ended up having to attach the frame piece by piece, and this, like I said, it's not the most fun process, but it ended up working out, and I think having the walls below it actually provides a good bit of structure and rigidity to it. All right, we are trucking along with the Kamino build, and you can see I got the frame for the second section over here mounted up, so that's good to go. Also went ahead and took the liberty of adding all those floor sections for the second level that we built during the live stream. We got all those connected, and it's looking pretty cool. It's nice to see two full rows of just those floor sections. I am so happy that I'm done building those for now until we move to that second dome over there. But it's looking pretty good, I think. I think this is coming along exactly as I envisioned. I also went ahead and took the liberty of adding some of the one by one tiles. I don't know if you remember from last week. There were some that were just missing in some sections here, and really just all around. So we got all that cleaned up. So the floor down there is looking pretty dang good, if I might say so myself. So just really happy to see, us, like I said, just making positive progress. That's my goal for this project right now. Just moving past kind of where we've been. There's obviously a lot of repetition with a build like this, but I feel real soon we're going to start getting to some things that you haven't quite seen me do before. And even with this, I think, we have seen me do these floors, we have seen me do these walls, but now that we're actually seeing it kind of in the full scope, with not it just being half of the dome, but the full half dome, if that makes sense, I think it's coming along pretty well. So I really wish that I could bring you guys into this room with me and you can experience just how massive this build is. Like, it is, I don't think the camera really conveys just how freaking huge this is. I think a lot of people, especially like they come over here and visit, like earlier this year, during convention season, and they saw not even, these walls built up, but pretty much just what that half dome over there looks like, pretty much just a flat structure. And they were just dumbfounded by how big this thing is. So I think, especially once we get the roof on this, it's going to be just stunning. I have really high hopes for how this thing is going to come along. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. For the next step in this update, my plan is basically to get these wall sections back mounted up. So these are ones that I've already had built. If you remember back, when the mock was just this side kind of going over there, I had 2 levels of walls. I had that level and then the other half up here. So the first thing I want to do, we'll have to go back, look at some old videos and see what is the order of these. I kind of laid them out here, but I have pretty low confidence that this is actually the order they're supposed to be in. I'm going to get those connected on here, and then kind of using that as a visual template, so to speak, I'm going to determine which wall sections I want to have on this side. And hopefully, by the end of this update, we'll have those 2 walls completed. Fingers crossed, I do want to get at least some of the top structure built up, some of just like the Technic sections angling in, going towards the middle of the dome. But if we can't quite get that, we will for sure have both walkways done and both walls, both lines of walls done. So I think, even if that's the stopping point, I'd be more than happy. But, bonus points if I can start building up a little bit of that top structure again. I think I would love to see at least what that would kind of look like before the end of this update. So I'm going to go ahead and stop talking. I'm going to go ahead and figure out where these guys go, get them mounted up, and then we'll start working and filling in the blanks, which will be that half of the top side of the build. All right, so fortunately that went a lot smoother than I thought it would. It's a lot easier to put these wall sections on when you don't have like a top section up here coming out that you have to try to squeeze the walls between, which was the case down here. I tried to, basically when I was fixing all this up, I had to put these walls back in and squeeze it between this section here and this section here, and that was not fun. Not fun at all. But this is looking pretty good. Nice thing you can see is it looks, I don't want to say organic, but there's not really any repeated sections kind of at top that are right below the bottom. Like, I tried to keep them mostly separate. Like you might notice, the door is the same and that section the same, but none of them are like super close to each other. And that's really the aesthetic that I was going for with this. So now I'm going to fill in all these blanks over here, and we're going to have a pretty comprehensive view of what this full half dome is going to look like. I know it's so annoying that this is a half dome, but like I keep saying full just because we've had a quarter dome up until this point. So if you hear me saying full half dome, what I mean to say is this is the full version of it as opposed to the quarter dome that we have been working on previously in this series. So I guess let's go ahead and queue up a time lapse and let's go ahead and knock all these wall sections out. To take a quick break from the build right now, I did want to integrate a new little bit of a segment here in the middle of these videos. I get a lot of really interesting questions about certain things I decide to implement into the mock, and people will have like suggestions and things like that. And I basically want to take, a segment of each of these updates to address maybe a question or two in the comment section of the previous update with people who maybe are wondering why I built something a certain way or who have a suggestion. So Bailey Mitchell had a really good question this week. He said, are you going to have any of the doors open? I think having them all closed would be a real shame, and having one or two open and feed into the interior would help the entire mock tie, or help tie the entire mock together, or even have one of them go to a T-junction corridor section. Just add some variety. I thought this was a really good question, and it was really funny he mentioned this because as I was building up the doors, I was like, I guess all these doors on this dome are going to be closed. Like, it's kind of weird. But on this dome that we're particularly working on right now, it kind of has to be done that way. Long story short, the interior of the dome that we're working on right now is going to be episode 2 style interior. So it's basically going to be the big embryo room. And there really isn't like a reason for the embryo room to have like a door that leads right to the battle on the outside. Like, I guess in canon on Kamino, that room would be much more enclosed in the center of one of the domes. Like, it wouldn't be the case that there will be a door that leads from like outside right into that room. So basically that's the biggest reason. I think also with the way I plan on building the interior of this particular dome, there isn't going to be like a natural place for a doorway to be because the sides are going to be kind of elevated. And I mean, there's no real way for me to like really explain this other than for you guys just to see it whenever it does get built. But it will make a lot of sense as to why there isn't going to be like open doors, because basically the interior of this particular dome that we're working on to start off this build series is not really going to match up with or make sense next to the exterior that's right next to it. They're kind of meant to be two separate things. But I would actually like to have a door on the other dome that we're going to be working on that is actually going to be open. And if that for some reason doesn't work out, we're going to have a big Republic gunship hangar in the other dome that will for sure help integrate the exterior of the dome with the interior of the dome. So hopefully my answer to that question made sense to you, and I do want to keep doing this with upcoming updates. So if you guys have any questions or any suggestions just about anything that I'm doing with the mock, anything you're confused about, if you're just like, why did you decide to build this way? Why did you decide to lay this out this way? I definitely want to take, a few minutes of every video to directly address people who are just curious about why I'm doing things the way I'm doing them with this build. So hopefully that clears things up, and let's jump right back into the mock. And here it is. Oh man, this is insane. Words cannot describe how I feel right now, seeing both of these levels finally completed. The structure is becoming more and more imposing, honestly. Like I mentioned before, this thing is just huge. It is absolutely massive, and seeing it finally get a bit of height is just making me so happy. So in the time lapse, I built up all these wall sections right here. You can tell this is the last section that I built up because I started running out of parts that I never ran out of before. Like dark gray arches right here, didn't have any. These curved bricks right here, didn't have any. So that's kind of unfortunate, but orders will be placed and those will be filled in with the right colors. But I mean, I guess since, these were going to be dark red anyways, it's not the worst thing in the world for those to be the wrong colors as well. But I am definitely looking forward to seeing both of these levels with all the right colors, especially in those doors. Those dark red corners are really sticking out like sore thumbs at this point. But what can I say? This was very repetitive. This was not a quick process. I know I mentioned before, we might try to get a bit of the dome built up. That's not happening. It's quite late. It's like midnight before Sunday, and I definitely do want to get this video out by tomorrow. So it's going to be a late night of editing, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to stay on schedule and also just to, I don't know, not push myself too much with every individual update. There will be more of these to come. The fact that I've gotten, this much progress done over these past couple of weeks is honestly so awesome to me. That's just so much more on a mock than I've done, at least on a large scale build like this in a very, very long time. So I feel like I'm getting back into the groove with this. Honestly, whenever I first started working back on Kamino, I was kind of concerned, if I wasn't really going to be feeling it, if I wasn't going to be super interested in this build. But now that I've kind of gotten over that initial hump of trying to figure things out, and now that I feel like I'm building with momentum, I'm so just ready to work on this. I wish I had more time to, work on this and get more stuff built on this through the night, but I do want to be timely with these updates. So, we had a little bit of a shorter week this week because the last update came out, I think on a Tuesday. This one's coming out 5 days later. So while I would have liked to have gotten a few more things done, I do understand that this was a bit of a shorter week than normal just because that last update came out a little bit later than I would have liked it to. But hopefully now we'll be able to get back to our normal schedule of, Kamino updates every Sunday. So moving forward in terms of plans for this build, for the next week, I definitely am going to start building up, the sections that connect to the top of this, and then hopefully get some of the actual dome structure built up, and maybe even some panels placed. I would love, love, love to see at least some panels placed on top as well as the bottom of this to get an even better look at just the overall scope, scale, shape, all that good stuff when it comes to this build. But all in all, this is everything that I hope for. I can't wait to keep working on this, man. You guys have no clue. I'm just so hyped right now. It's so cool seeing this come together. Feels like years since I've been working on a large scale build, and I've, been able to see big chunks of it come together and really start looking like something. Honestly, I think back to Star Killer, and I just always had big structures and things just sitting around that looked massively impressive. But with Kamino, I've pretty much just been sitting on two flat frames for the longest time. But now that this is actually starting to get built up, starting to look a little bit more like I would expect it to look around here, and that means everything to me. So I feel like I'm doing a little bit of rambling at this point, but super happy with the progress. I guess give you guys one more sweeping shot to check out all the walls here. You can see so much dark gray, so much light gray, so many walls. But yeah, we got all the walls done for the half dome. So that's pretty much going to finish up the update for this week. I'm going to go ahead to the outro of the video. And that's going to finish up this week's episode of Kamino. I definitely would love to hear how you guys are feeling about the mock so far. It is making me so happy that, I got 2 updates out within a week. That is a huge milestone. Is obviously, I took that long break from Kamino, but to be working on it regularly at this point, again, is just so fulfilling to me. It makes me so happy. Especially just to be showing it to you guys. I know there are a lot of people, like I mentioned last week, who were super just concerned about the state of Kamino and what was going on with it. So to be back and doing this on a regular schedule means everything to me. I do also have to say, before I end out this video, I got an overwhelming amount of positive feedback last week when I dropped that Kamino update. So many people just super excited to see the return of this build, and had really nice things to say. I don't have words. It's the best feeling ever, to do this and to have the support of you guys. So I just want to say I really do appreciate it. In those comments, I read every single one of them, and especially when you have, you know, really heartfelt, meaningful things to say. Those things resonate with me, and it just made my week. Like the day I dropped that Kamino update, I was just so hyped reading all the comments that were coming through, and it was just really one of the best days that I've had in a little bit of time. So I really do appreciate all you guys for that. But that's pretty much gonna finish up the video, guys. If you like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.